guarantee. It's Stephanie White. She has had enough of what she has seen from the officials here today. Understandable frustration from Stephanie White.
Couple of possessions in a row where Leah Boston got the fouls. I thought the first one should have been on Howard. And then here, as Petty's in there, Tillman kind of tosses her to the side a little bit, and that was the straw that broke the camel's back there.
Okay, this is wild. What's worse, going into game 1 missing 6 players or watching the referees actively tilt the floor against you in the biggest moment of your season? Because that's exactly what the Indiana Fever just dealt with against the Atlanta Dream, and you could practically feel the frustration boiling over. Even Coach Stephanie White went off, literally getting a technical foul for saying what every single fan watching was already thinking. So, how does a team held together by pure tape and grit keep fighting through not only devastating injuries, but also officiating chaos? Was it just some really bad luck, or did it feel a whole lot more like sabotage? Stay with me, because what happened in Game 1 has fans furious, players absolutely livid, and the entire league buzzing about whether the Fever were completely robbed. Seriously, do you think the Fever was robbed by the refs? Let us know down in the comments below. We need to talk about this.
Players they have. So Caitlin Clark, Chloe Bibby right there on the bench. But then you have Sophie Cunningham, Sid Colson, Ari McDonald, all actually having to sit separate from the bench. You also have Damiris Duntis.
Imagine walking into the playoffs already missing half your rotation before the ball even tips off. How do you even try to compete then? That's the exact nightmare scenario the Indiana Fever faced. And get this, it wasn't just 1 or 2 players. You want to talk about bad luck? Caitlin Clark's groin injury was already a season ender. Chloe Bibby's knee took her out. Sophie Cunningham and Sydney Colson were gone with their own knee problems. Harry McDonald was sidelined with her foot, and just to make the cut even deeper, less than 24 hours before Game 1, Damiris Dantis was slammed with concussion protocol. That's 6 players who should have been suiting up, 6 core rotation pieces literally stripped away, and yet this team still had to step onto the floor against a Dream roster that was fully loaded and ready to go.
We got the injured reserves here with you guys, which last month, they just weren't able to travel. What does that mean to you specifically, just having them there?
Yeah, I was super excited. I think just looking at the injured squad in itself, they just have a lot of knowledge. And so for us, just being able to listen to them, taking what they see, because obviously just them watching is going to be a different view than us on that court. And so super, super happy to have them with us.
How is that?
Now, seriously, is that even fair to the players or to the fans? Indiana fought through this exact kind of brutal punishment all season long, scratching and clawing their way through months of lineups shuffled together like a puzzle missing entire pieces, all just to secure that 6th seed. And instead of being rewarded with some kind of clean slate for the playoffs, they showed up in Atlanta with more names on their inactive list than some teams have players on their entire bench.
Obviously, the injured players, they haven't been able to travel, some of them, but most of them are here now. Just how do they help kind of from a culture-wise and with, just bringing some perspective to you guys?
Yeah, we miss them every day on the court. So to be able to have them we had our plane, in front of our plane, normally we have empty seats. It was filled on the way here. So, they bring energy, they bring light, they bring their vocal leaders, all of them. So to have them on this trip is huge. And I don't know how we're going to fit everyone on the bench. It's not that long. It's been packed recently. So I'm excited to see how we figure that out, but it'll be great to have them back with us.
And speaking of the bench, what a sight it was. The Fever decided everyone was traveling, meaning all 16 players, healthy or not, were there. It was a gesture that screamed unity, sure, but it also highlighted the sheer absurdity of their situation. There weren't even enough seats for everyone. The main row filled up so fast that players in street clothes had to sit in the second row behind the actual bench, almost like they were waiting for boarding on a flight. You've hit the injury lottery when you literally can't even fit your whole team along the sideline.
They're finally able to travel from a medical standpoint as well. So, I think having the whole group here, having those guys here gives us a little bit of a boost emotionally. And then having their perspective. You're talking about 3 point guards that are sitting on the sideline that can talk to our team in huddles, that can talk to our team, throughout the course of dead balls or when they come on and off the floor.
This is exactly where context matters, because when you think about the other playoff teams, they're rolling out solid second options, reliable players they can seamlessly rotate in when their stars pick up fouls or just need a breather. Indiana had none of that. They were literally leaning on whoever was left standing, patching holes with Tate, grit, and honestly a whole lot of prayer. And yet, despite all of this, they still managed to make the postseason 2 years running. That alone, my friends, screams pure resilience.
Come on, guys. This is my new team, the medical staff.
Oh, yeah.
Sophie Cunningham might have summed it up best without even trying. Stuck in rehab for her knee, she joked that she's basically part of the medical staff now. It was a throwaway line, but it instantly showed the ridiculousness of this entire season. A starter turned cheerleader, cracking jokes just to keep spirits up, while knowing deep down she should be out there making shots. That's the Fever in a nutshell. Finding ways to smile through the pain. But here's the crazy part. Those injuries didn't stop the team from coming out of the gate swinging in Game 1. They caught Atlanta completely off guard early and actually built a lead, playing like they were too stubborn to even notice their disadvantages. But of course, it just couldn't stay that simple, because right when the Fever proved they could hang, despite absolutely everything, the referees decided to insert themselves and change the direction of the game completely.
What the referees did, and I know why Stephanie White got a technical foul. Any coach that had to watch their team work so hard all season long, played through every single injuries, and the reason why they had so many injuries is because of these referees.
Look, every playoff game has its crazy swings, but nothing absolutely flips momentum faster than a whistle that just doesn't make any sense. Indiana walked into Atlanta carrying the weight of 6 injured players and still punched first, jumping out to a dominant 15-6 start with Kelsey Mitchell drilling shots early, and Aaliyah Boston doing what she does best, absolutely dominating the glass and clogging the lane. The Fever were locked in, playing like a team that had zero intention of letting their shorthanded roster define the night. For a moment, it honestly felt like the impossible was about to happen. A broken roster threatening a healthy dream squad, and then, almost predictably, the officiating started to just bleed the energy right out of the game.
Or just falls down, but it's a foul. Like, this is ridiculous. Look at this. Kelsey Mitchell. They don't even let the Fever play defense because she's associated with Caitlin Clark. Look at this one. Another foul where nobody touched him. So they lost the timeout, and they lost their challenges for the game because the referees can't do their job.
That incredible early rhythm was absolutely disrupted by whistles that felt like they came out of nowhere. Defensive stops that should have turned into quick, fast breaks instead became easy free throws for Atlanta. Clean contests were suddenly marked as foul. Mitchell and others would fight through screens, doing everything they could to keep the Dream from getting clean looks, only for the play to be stopped and reversed by a call that just didn't add up. And this wasn't just a single mistake. Nope, it repeated over and over, slowly draining all the urgency and momentum Indiana had built at the start.
The referees took it over. Look at this. Everybody saw this. Lexi Hall didn't touch her, but they had to waste their first challenge on this play. Here we go. Look at this. She gets elbowed in the face, and they call a foul on Brianna Turner. And then Lexi Hall turns around to go back on defense, but she gets charged for a foul, and they wanted to upgrade it, reviewed it.
Lexi Hall became one of the biggest victims of these constant phantom calls. She was tagged with a foul on Ryan Howard, despite being in a perfect defensive position, nowhere near illegal contact. Coach Stephanie White immediately challenged it, and the replay confirmed what everyone rushing already knew. There was no foul, but just like that, she had to burn one of her precious challenges in the first quarter, something no coach ever wants to do that early. White later admitted it was incredibly frustrating to win 2 challenges that fast, because it proved the referees were clearly missing things, but she didn't have unlimited chances to correct them. She actually had to spend both of her challenges by the second quarter, just to keep her players from being completely buried under bad officiating.
Look at this. Boston gets elbowed in the face by Brittany Griner. Do you think they called it? No. And look at this. Lexi Hall did not touch her. Didn't even touch her. And she gets free throws. Here we go. Kelsey Mitchell
Meanwhile, Atlanta's physicality was allowed to run completely unchecked. Fans watched Brianna Jones throw an elbow into Brianna Turner, or Brittany Griner shoving Aaliyah Boston on post-ups. And get this, nothing was called. The sheer inconsistency made every single possession a gamble. If Indiana put a body on someone, it was a foul. But if Atlanta did it, play just continued. That type of lopsidedness doesn't just show up on a scoreboard, it chips away at confidence, focus, and ultimately the team's rhythm.
Lexi Hall gets thrown out of bounds. No foul, right? Remember that play, okay? Boston, foul. But look at this. So she goes for the ball, and then they call a foul on Lexi Hall. Look.
By the fourth quarter, the frustration had officially boiled over. Coach White barked at the officials after a sequence where Ryan Howard pulled on Shea Petty without a whistle, and the referees instantly hit her with a technical for speaking the exact same frustration every single Indiana fan was yelling at their TV.
Well, Lexi, talk about the physicality of this game and being able to, knowing it's the playoff playing in such a physical game like today.
Yeah, I mean, I think we knew coming in it's playoffs, it's going to be physical, and we're going to have to learn how to play with that, especially this team is inherently a physical team. So for us, knowing that's the case and being able to respond, I think there's things that we're able to watch and film on how to handle that better, not letting the refs determine, how that physically is impacting us, but just continuing to play through that. It's definitely something we're going to have to work on and watch film and get better at, but that's part of playoffs, and that's part of the thing that we're going to have to get better at moving forward in the series.
Then Odyssey Sims got one not long after, diving for a loose ball that should have been praised as pure hustle, but was instead punished. The entire building was buzzing with chaos, and the Fever bench looked visibly shaken. Caitlin Clark, sidelined but present, even stepped in to calm her own head coach when White looked ready to take it further. It was a surreal image. The sophomore, injured and unable to play, holding back the coach who had simply had enough of the nonsense. Atlanta, of course, thrived in that storm, turning the chaos into a game-changing third-quarter run, stretching the lead and making it a hill the Fever just couldn't climb from. The headlines after weren't about how Indiana's stars played. They were, almost unbelievably, about the officiating. Fans were left asking whether the Fever got beat by the Dream or by the referees. But despite all of that, the group on the court never stopped fighting, and that part of the story honestly matters even more.
They didn't stop either. You'd think after 20 of them, look at this. So that's a foul, right? But watch when the Fever do it 2 times in a row. Same exact thing. But it's not a foul when the Fever drive. Look at this. It's not a foul when the Fever get hit in the air, but the Dream get free throws. Same exact plays. Look at this one. What are you supposed to do? Just roll out the red carpet and give him a layup? She is not fouling her. They give her a 3-point play for putting...
With everything stacked against them, how do you even measure success? Is it by the final score, or by the sheer pride in how hard you fought? That's the dilemma the Fever faced in Game 1. On paper, they were completely outmatched, but on the court, they simply refused to quit, and leading that charge, as always, was Kelsey Mitchell. She dropped an incredible 27 points, a playoff career high, shooting almost 50% from the floor, and hitting nearly every free throw she earned. Every time Indiana's offense dried up, Mitchell seemed to force it back to life. She wasn't just getting buckets, she added 4 assists and even a block, doing absolutely everything possible to keep the Fever clinging to the game.
Atlanta's had a few of those last few possessions. Mitchell, catch, fire, and hit from 3. What a start. Rebound hits the floor. Hull keeps it alive for Indiana. Mitchell using the screen, dancing around Griner, and able...
But no matter how brilliant Mitchell was, it was impossible to ignore what was critically missing. Caitlin Clark's absence took away the one thing that could truly stretch defenses, her ability to force opponents to guard 25 feet from the basket. Without that threat, Atlanta didn't even pretend to respect Indiana beyond the arc. They packed the paint, completely cut off driving lanes, and dared the Fever's secondary players to hit from distance. That lack of spacing created a brutal environment inside for Aaliyah Boston. She fought her way through foul trouble, but still managed an impressive 12 rebounds, battling multiple defenders and trying her best to avoid whistles. Offensively, she was quieter with 8 points on limited looks, but her sheer rebounding effort kept Indiana competitive longer than they probably should have been.
And another chance here for Indiana.
So much length, and it's obvious on the defensive end for Atlanta.
Boston just kind of pushed it up and in. Guarded by Howard. And slide it into Boston. Center of the lane. Turning. It's finishing.
Lexi Hall gave every single ounce she had as well. 9 points doesn't leap off the stat sheet, but trust me, it mattered. She buried one of Indiana's only threes on a night where the rim looked unforgiving for everyone else. She chased Atlanta around screens, fought for loose balls, and played that critical energy role that so often goes unnoticed until it's suddenly missing. Even when her shots weren't falling at a high clip, Hall absolutely refused to fade. She's a perfect example of someone who can contribute in ways that don't always translate to big box score glory.
Carl Semesco emphasized first just how well she's been playing down the stretch. The efficiency has gotten much better since the second week of August, averaging nearly 20 points a game since then. As Hull 40-33, Atlanta in front. These teams split their 4 regular season meetings as Hull knocks down the 3. Hull gets it.
Meanwhile, Atlanta just rolled bodies at Indiana like a fresh wave every single quarter. Alicia Gray and Ryan Howard both went for 20 points. Naz Hillman gave a huge lift with 16, and Brittany Griner's sheer presence in the post drew extra defenders, carving out crucial space for her teammates. The contrast was just glaringly obvious. One side had weapons they could rotate in and out, while the other was literally praying their stars could just keep standing as the game went on. Indiana shot under 35% from the field overall, and when the Dream kept rebounding every first miss, the gap just began to widen, relentlessly.
Mitchell gets it up beautifully. Boston lays it in.
The number of screens that Aaliyah Boston set on that possession, her stagger, pin down here. She's going to come up and set another on-ball screen, turn, re-screen action, and then finally rolls to the basket. It ends.
And yet, the most impressive takeaway isn't in the raw percentages or the final score. It's the fact that the Fever simply never folded. They played until the final buzzer, knowing deep down that their chance to flip the script hadn't vanished. It had just moved to Indianapolis. Game 2 now becomes their first home playoff game since 2016, and that alone gives this group a powerful reason to believe the fight is nowhere close to over. Now, the big question isn't just about whether Indiana has enough stars on the floor. It's about whether their crowd can provide the earth-shattering energy needed to fuel a truly season-defining win.
I mean, we're competing against everyone. We're in every single game, and I think at the end of the day, we've seen in moments when we're not doing well or games that we've lost, it's really things that we can control. So making sure that we're locked in on all of those things and tidying up those little things, because if we can put together 40 minutes, we feel like we can beat anybody in the league. So we're excited about the opportunity. We're excited that the playoffs is finally here. And now, it's not about what our record was. It wasn't about teams we beat or who we didn't beat during the regular season. It's about Atlanta. It's about this game on Sunday. So that's all we're focused on, and we're really excited about the opportunity.
Picture this.
The Indiana Fever haven't hosted a playoff game at Gainbridge Fieldhouse since 2016, and now they're stepping onto that court with their entire season hanging by a thread. Nearly a decade of waiting, plus an entire season battered by soul-crushing injuries, has finally led to this moment. For fans, this is more than just a game. It's a chance to remind the entire league that playoff basketball in Indiana still means something vital, and the hunger in that building, believe me, is going to be absolutely impossible to ignore.
I think we're just really excited about it. I think last year our fans were robbed of getting to be part of the playoff experience. Watching the Pacers in playoff, the fans really do show out, and Gainbridge is loud and crazy and electric. And so to be able to host a game there and be able to bring what they've, how they've supported us so long, be able to give this to them and have a really fun one, I think we're really excited about it. And I love this new format.
The setup for Game 2 couldn't be more dramatic. This isn't just another regular season matchup, it's the Fever's absolute last shot at extending their playoff run. The painful part, they're still down the exact same 6 players that left them short in Atlanta. Caitlin Clark remains sidelined. Sophie Cunningham, Sydney Colson, Erica McDonald, Chloe Bibby are all unavailable, and Damaris Dantis is still out after concussion protocol, with reevaluation pending for Game 2. That leaves Indiana staring down the same brutal depth problem, with absolutely no margin for error. Atlanta, of course, knows exactly what worked in Game 1. They swarmed the paint until spacing vanished, forced Indiana into hurried jump shots, and leaned on depth that simply isn't comparable right now. 2 for 15 from 3 isn't going to cut it, and everyone in the building knows it. Head coach Stephanie White made it crystal clear if this offense is going to survive, the ball has to move, quick decisions, sharp passing, and no wasted possessions. Better execution is non-negotiable because the dream size and length will not magically shrink under Indiana's roof.
I know that you guys are focused on the game tomorrow, but just with the change in playoff format and knowing that you guys are going to have an opportunity to play at home, does it feel differently this year at all? Even though, again, like, you have to get through tomorrow first. It doesn't feel differently for me. I mean, because I've been in all the formats, being a player and a coach, I don't know if it feels differently for them. I'm happy for our fans, that they get an opportunity to see the team in the playoffs. I remember a year ago in Connecticut, it was like, thank God we didn't have to go back to Indiana. So I'm thankful for our fans that they're going to have this opportunity.
The burden on Mitchell is undeniably heavy, but it cannot just be her. 27 points in Game 1 proves she's more than capable, but without another scorer stepping up and breaking free, Atlanta will just load up again and suffocate her driving lanes. Boston will battle inside, and Hall will fight for every loose ball. But someone else, whether it's Turner, Howard, or Hartley, needs to rise as a consistent, reliable option. So that's exactly where the crowd comes in. 17,000 screaming fans can't directly guard Ryan Howard or box out Brittany Griner, but their energy can make every Indiana run feel bigger, every defensive stop sting deeper, and every dream possession a little more uncomfortable. This game isn't just about survival, it's about proving this franchise can take a heavy punch, stand tall at home, and start building the momentum toward the future everyone in Indiana is desperately waiting for. Win or lose, what happens inside Gainbridge Fieldhouse will absolutely define how this playoff run is remembered.
Kelsey, given the playoff format change, you guys being able to actually host a postseason game for the first time in your career in Indiana, how much do you expect that to help you guys, to give you momentum, and how just personally excited are you for that?
Personally excited. I'll let you know when I get there. But I think it gives ourselves a chance to stay in a hunt of things we really trying to figure out, a way to come back here whenever we would like to play again. So you're gonna have to take the necessary steps to be at your best. But I would like to think that being back at home can kind of give us a sense of comfort. So hopefully we can use it for what it's worth and not take it for granted.
This series isn't just about wins and losses, it truly feels like a fight for survival. The Fever have been battered by injuries all season, then unbelievably robbed of momentum by game-changing whistles, and somehow they are still preparing to fight again. Game 2 in Indianapolis isn't just another game, it's the first playoff matchup at Gainbridge since 2016, and everything, and I mean everything, rides on it. Fever fans need to bring every ounce of energy possible because this is the moment that decides how the year closes. Just one game can still completely flip the entire narrative. So will the home crowd be the spark that keeps their season alive? Do you think the Fever was robbed by the refs? Let us know down in the comments below. And hey, like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out on our next video. Click the video on the screen now, and we'll see you in the next one.